Which Cleveland sports team will be first to win a championship?
Is that the exact question?
Oh,
That's the way I read it. Which of the Cleveland?
that was the question.
Will be
Which
the
of
first.
the
Okay.
is most likely,
to
to win the first? Does anybody have a definitive answer? Number
Well,
one,
of course.
because I really struggled with this.
I have
Do
one.
you?
What's your answer?
Go ahead.
It's the Guardians. They're about to go to the playoffs. I mean, they're on the press. They're going in right now.
Fair enough.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you said this last year or something like.
But let's say if they were all starting the season today.
Okay, let's talk.
That's how I'm
It's a
thinking
very
of it that
different
way.
question.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
you're
it
right.
is a different question.
But
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, right now, we're about to. Who knows what could happen?
Yeah.
But if they were just starting today, then that's a different question.
Yeah.
And in that case, I guess I'd probably still have to go with them.
Yeah.
I mean, just because the Browns haven't proven anything yet to me, and we don't know what Watson's going to be like, and that's everything as far as their chances of winning a Super Bowl. And the Cavs are super young, and we can't expect that. I mean, so were the Guardians, but they've shown me something in a way that the Cavs haven't. So it would still have to go for me: Guards, Browns, Cavs.
Now, G. Bush, Bull, were either of you guys definitive? Because I was definitive too. So if you're kind of if you struggled with it, I can give you mine.
Go ahead.
I'm with Mike.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Guardians, and yes, they're closest to it. That's going to be the next championship that's handed out. But the reason I'm going with the Guardians is because, as we've seen time and again, I think if you look at all three sports, the NBA's best team wins the championship most.
Right.
Do we all agree with that? I just feel like
Yes,
they're the
definitely.
team. I think next it's the NFL.
Yes.
And I think third in that group is baseball.
Right.
So if you look at the overall records, the Dodgers already have 20 wins more than the Guardians. Their run differential is ridiculous. It's like 322 or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, what that literally says is you've got a travel team playing against in a rec league.
Yeah.
That's how bad this competitive state has become in baseball, and that's because the Dodgers just turned it into a spending contest, and they're spending $6 for every dollar the Guardians spend. Think about that. And they're playing on the same field.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
The Dolans, every dollar
that's
the
absurd.
Dolans spend. Let's make it clear.
Now, what's really tricky about this is, on one hand, I want to make the case for a more even playing field financially. You know, the Coastal team.
I wish you'd stop right there.
Should not. But
I agree.
But you know what? The Guardians just blow that model away. And here's why. No team has spent less in the last decade. And in the American League, no team has won more.
We have a fundamental.
Haven't the Rays spent less? I think the Rays have spent less.
I'd like to
Pittsburgh's
see
gotta
that
be
for sure.
close, too,
Yeah.
2 years ago,
Oh, wait, no,
2 years
they're
ago,
terrible.
But they're terrible.
No, but they're bad.
Yeah, I get it.
The
2
Rays
years
and-
ago it was the Indians,
yeah.
but I think because the Rays are spending more than the Guardians now,
Yeah.
I'd like to see if that's still the case. Because 2 years ago, that stat that I
Yeah.
gave was correct.
Go ahead.
So because of that, it kind of blows up then you don't need a salary cap.
I have the
because the Guardians defy that.
I have a fundamental problem with that argument, and I hear it a lot. And the argument is, whenever somebody complains, whenever a Dolan apologist, or whenever somebody complains about the Dolans, a Dolan apologist comes out of nowhere and says, "But they're competitive. They're competitive every year. Look at what they've done. It doesn't matter. Money is not that important."
Factual.
It's completely true. Completely true. But that argument is, to me, fails because it supposes that if they had more money to work with, our management, somehow they'd fail at what they're doing.
Exactly.
Their scouting would somehow just say, "Oh, we have too much money. We don't even know what to do anymore. Now we're idiots."
That's
So
right.
what if you gave this very proven front office more money to work with? I just don't think they'd get worse. I think they'd get better. So until I see
Mike
them,
is 100% right, Jay.
Of course
and
they
it's
would.
not proven. Well, you said it's proven that. No, it's not proven. You see.
What was the statement that I said was proven?
Go ahead.
you said that
That money doesn't matter. It does matter.
No,
it does
I'm
matter.
not going to say it doesn't
It's
matter.
just like the people that got, like when I was saying, hey, because obviously I've been going nuts about the Guardians here, and I had a couple people say, "Oh, you said they should have spent some money in the offseason."
They should have.
As if I was wrong for
No.
saying that.
Yeah, they
of
should
course
have.
they should have,
And look,
they'd probably be even better.
Most likely, October's going to prove that they were just one or two pieces short.
Yep.
Most likely.
Yep.
I hope I'm wrong. Last year, Atlanta went out before the trade deadline with their best player out. Acuna was done.
Yeah.
And they completely remade their outfield.
Yeah.
Completely. With brilliant trades. And the next thing you know, they're a sub 500 team on August 10th.
Right.
They win the World
That's
Series.
So what if this brilliant front office actually had more money to work with so that they could take advantage of their brilliance?
Well, do you want an example?
That's what I wish they would do.
Do you want an
Yes.
example?
Sure.
How about the LA Dodgers? It's easy to say they spend a ton of money and that's why they win. That's certainly a big factor. But there are there are a lot of other teams that spend a lot of money, maybe not quite the Dodgers money, but they don't win as much.
Absolutely.
The Dodgers front office is also one of the best in baseball.
No question.
Now, it doesn't get the hype that the Guardians and the Rays get because
they're outspending everybody.
Because they're outspending. But they also have the best farm system.
Let me ask you this. How could any team in baseball, other than the Dodgers, absorb losing a Cy Young caliber pitcher and they don't even miss him?
Crazy.
They don't even miss him. Now,
but part of that is
take
because
Bieber off the Guardians.
Right. The Guardians can't do that. But part of the reason the Dodgers can do it,
because they've spent.
and other big market teams couldn't even, is because they've spent, yes, but they've also drafted and developed great too.
Wisely.
Look at all these
Here's
young
what they
pitchers
did.
they have.
They remade their front office.
Yeah.
So their front office is now. So they don't have a weakness. When you look at the Dodgers organization,
No weakness.
They have no weakness. Even the Yankees, for years, when they were outspending everybody, they still had their weakness was developmental. They didn't develop talent. They just
They bought ours.
the other 29 teams as their minor league system.
Yes.
That's what they did.
They've only won
when is this player a free agent? We're going to get
I know
him.
this sounds silly to say to Indians and Guardians fans, but with as much money as the Yankees have spent, they've won one World Series since 2000.
But how many times have they missed the playoffs? I mean, you pay for
No,
competitiveness.
you pay for competitiveness. Yes,
You know
no
what?
doubt.
That's a good question. I'd like to know how
But-
many times the Guardians and the Yankees have made the playoffs since 2000.
The Mets have consistently had a high payroll and often not made the playoffs.
Right. Now,
the Cubs have consistently
The
had
Mets
a
are
high
doing it
payroll.
differently now, though. The Mets are doing it differently now. They used to just waste blindly, just write that
but
check,
their
write that
payroll's
check.
still very high.
But the moves that they've made, like,
You know.
quite frankly, they've used the Guardians as their the two of their key acquisitions are former Indians.
We're their farm league.
Yeah, I mean, you got Carrasco, who's got 16 wins.
Yeah, and Lindor,
And
who's having a
Lindor's
great year
who's
too.
finally Frankie Lindor again.
Yeah.
Now, we also benefited greatly from that trade.
Sure.
Jimenez is a Gold Glove second baseman who's been probably second or third in our team MVP voting. We're nowhere close to where we are right now without Jimenez.
It's very rare.
And
Yeah.
you can look at the
And
shortstop too.
Rosario.
Rosario is the same thing.
Well, I think they should try to extend this offseason, but which I doubt they will. But it's rare that a trade of that magnitude ends up being great for
both
teams.
teams.
And it
You're
has.
right.
But to the point of picking the team, I actually, what's funny is before this season, I don't think any of us would have picked the Guardians.
I wouldn't have.
No.
Right?
No.
0%.
It seemed like we knew they were heading in the right direction, but it seemed like they were further away.
This felt like a rebuild
Yeah,
to me.
and even though baseball, unlike the other sports, you don't have to be the best team to win, it's also, if the Cavs can get to the point where they're the best team and the Browns can get to the point where they're the best team, then you're more confident that they can win as opposed to the Guardians if they're the best team. Because the truth is that the best run by the Guardians, of course, was 2016. And they had no business going to the World Series that year with all the injuries they had. None.
Right.
Tom Hamilton said it yesterday. I've been saying it for a while. When Tom said it, I felt totally vindicated because I've been saying it. Meanwhile, in 2017, they were the best team. And they lost after winning those first two to the Yankees, winning that great second game where they won in extra innings, and then they got swept. They haven't won a playoff game since. So the best, you could be the best team and it doesn't matter. But I would agree with you guys in the end. I would go with the Guardians.
You know what? As y'all was sitting there and talking about baseball, I had an opportunity to go through my mind and figure out what I was going to say. So that worked out well for me like that. Now,
Wise use of the time.
yes, I'm going to go surprising here. I'm going to go with the Cavs. Because from what I know about the NBA is, if you got the best few players, you got an opportunity to win 9 times out of 10. And I think the Cavs are uniquely positioned at a point where their players are very young and the league is getting older and older. KD mentioned something at his press conference, or the next press conference, and he said, why did you come back? You thought you weren't coming back. And he said, well, I'm getting older. I felt like they was going to bring back our Kyrie and some other pieces. So I felt like this is the best place to just stay. And you look around the league, Anthony Davis injuries, you look at LeBron is getting older. These guys, that level of star is getting to a point where now you got the young guys like Mobley. And you're like, if Mobley takes a step, and you already had Darius Garland take that step, and now you got Donovan Mitchell, and you have these pieces and parts. I'm looking at it like from a point where I can foresee them this year going far. If the Atlanta Hawks make the Eastern Conference Finals, this team is 10 times better than that team. Now, obviously, it's kind of difficult because you have a lot of different things going on in the Eastern Conference. The teams are better, and we talked about how stacked they are. But the acquisition of Donovan Mitchell put the Cavs on a different level, where now they have legitimately 2 stars, and you got a young piece that's coming up that could be better than both of them. So for me, I go with the Cavs by a slim margin over the Browns, because I know in the NFL, if you got the quarterback, you got a chance. You got a shot. But we don't know what it's going to be like.
Let me ask you a question, because you touch on something that's really interesting. You talk about the league and its superstars are aging. I don't know the answer to this. I'll just open it up to you guys. I can't imagine there is a team in the NBA with, if they were to have an all-star game tomorrow and you had to be under 26 to play in it.
Yeah.
Man.
I think it's the Cavs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yep.
I think we're all excited about the Cavs.
So keep this group together.
Yes.
Add some veteran leadership. Right now, I think comes from Kevin Love. You know, he's that guy this
Ricky
year.
Rubio.
Right.
Yep.
You've got those guys. But I think you're onto something, because if they can keep that core talent group together, I don't see why they can't age and improve and be that team that can be favored to win a title.
Yeah.
Here's my only thing about the Cavs. There's 2 reasons why I had the Cavs third. And
So you got the Browns over the
I
Guardians,
got the
or
Browns.
over the Cavs.
I got Guardians, Browns, Cavs.
Wow.
Same.
Here's the only reason I got the Cavs third, is because they're the least proven of the 3. Now, we can say the Browns are unproven. Certainly they're unproven with Deshaun Watson. But at least this coach has won a playoff game. They've won a playoff game with this coach.
Yeah.
We know about the Guardians, obviously. The Cavs haven't won anything. And their best player, or their best player at the moment, we'll see eventually if Mobley's their best player, but their best player at the moment is new to the team.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Browns. But
How's he going to fit in?
Right. And here's the only thing I'm concerned about when it comes to winning a championship that we don't know yet. As good as all these guys are, and I love them, and they have 6 top 100 players, and what if Jared Allen's like 52? If he's up 2 spots, you have 4 top 50 players. However, they don't have any top 10 players. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could
Who's
be
the
an
last
issue.
team to win NBA title at a top 10 player?
I couldn't name it.
That's a very good point.
That's a very good point.
Golden State, Miami, Milwaukee,
the Cavs.
the
last team
Cavs.
was the Pistons back in like 2004 with Chauncey Billups and Rip Hamilton.
Yeah.
Right, because when the Raptors won,
Done
they
it.
had Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
Spurs, they had Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Right? Like who? The Lakers before that, it was Shaq and Kobe.
you
It's
wanna
a league
argue
that's
that the
dominated by
Celtics-
superstars.
It
The
is.
Celtics with KG, Pierce, and Allen, none of those 3 may have been top 10.
Yeah,
I don't know, but if they weren't, they were top 15 or top
They
20.
combine into
and
one.
there were 3 of them.
They combine into one great player.
Maybe
really.
none of those individually were top 10 at that point, but they probably all 3 were
They're-
top.
they're-
Certainly Pierce and Garnett.
Garnett,
both
yeah.
top
They were Hall of
25.
Famers.
The last
They're
team
Hall
with
of Famers.
legit superstars, the 04 Pistons, though.
Yeah.
Chauncey Billups was an all-star.
And that was,
Hamilton
you know
was an
what?
all-star.
You can argue that that's a different era. I mean, that was
Right.
almost
So,
20 years
so
ago.
we
Yeah.
don't know if you can win without a top 10 player.
No.
Now, the Cavs have 3 clear top 30 players.
I
right?
would
top
agree
40
with that.
players.
Yeah,
at the
I would
worst.
agree with that.
And
Which
those
of the
guys are
3
all at.
do you think could emerge as a top 10 player?
I think Mobley's the best shot, right? I think because as a rookie, he was already, I thought, without being an expert at it, honestly, I thought he was already elite defensively, wasn't he?
I would give you that.
If he wasn't
absolutely.
elite, he was borderline elite. As a rookie at, 19?
Yeah.
So his
If he
offensive
turns into Tim
game,
Duncan like people think he can,
right, his offensive game's going to develop.
it will.
He's already great defensively. He's good on the glass. He has the toughness, I think. He'll bulk up a little bit, he'll get a little bigger as he matures.
Right.
And if he can get to the point where he's scoring, 22, 23, more of a dominant presence on the offensive end, I think he could eventually be a top 10 player. And if he is, then the Cavs have a great chance to win a championship.
I know we're going to get internet reaction in a second.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys discussed this yesterday because I was out. Did you guys talk about LeBron's tweet over the weekend at all yesterday?
No.
And what do we make of that?
What was it?
So he tweeted, he asked a question.
I'll look for it. Which one are you talking about?
He tweeted Saturday. I can't believe you guys didn't see it. It
Didn't
was
see it.
huge. He said, yo, just asking, do I have eligibility
yeah.
left as in another sport?
Oh, I did see that.
And and so a buddy of mine, I wasn't sure. I thought, what's he talking
Because
about?
of the J.R. Smith thing?
Yeah. Well, a buddy of mine instantly texted me and said, if I know the rules, he does.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking that he wants to go play tight end at Ohio State while his son is on the basketball team there.
Oh, my
That is so
God.
funny.
That's crazy.
Did you ever see the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Can he get that off?
Here it is.
Yeah.
Here it is. And now, my son is a Division I track and field coach. He knows the recruiting rules inside
what'd
and
he
out.
say?
When I asked him about it, he goes, as far as I know, he does have eligibility left. That clock, there's no age cap.
Right.
And that clock doesn't start ticking until you
Step foot on campus.
play on campus.
Right.
Now, he couldn't clearly as a basketball player.
Sure.
But just start thinking about that for a second. He's got more money than he'll ever need.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's got championships. Jordan took a break to go play baseball.
Yeah.
Now, this effectively, if he did it, and this is wild speculation, but if he did it, it effectively would end his NBA career. At least
It would be awesome, though.
But could you imagine seeing LeBron James? He had over 1,000 receiving yards. At Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, I believe his junior year.
before
I don't
he
know
stopped
the-
Don't you
playing.
think
Yeah,
LeBron,
a half a century ago.
It was, but he's
I
still
know.
an
He's
athlete.
LeBron.
Don't you think that LeBron could have been great at any sport?
I
Yes.
do.
Almost
Yeah,
any
I
sport,
do.
right?
His athleticism.
Maybe
is-
not as a jockey.
Baseball is kind of hard.
He might
bro.
not have been
I
good
think-
Or
at
a golfer.
Yeah.
Or a golfer.
I think
Baseball hard.
LeBron is the greatest athlete we've ever seen,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Now, it depends, I guess, how you define
Yeah,
the word athlete.
that's a big discussion. That's a
But
big discussion.
I think if you want to say of all the team sport players ever, I think he's the greatest athlete
Yeah,
ever.
I think
It's hard to compare him against track
It is
guys.
hard. It
but,
is.
This feels a little bit like LeBron. That tweet feels a little bit like.
Just messing
I
with
feel like
people.
nobody's been talking
Yeah, look
about
at me. I'm
Yeah,
over here.
right.
I thought the same
Yeah.
thing. But I don't know if he's serious, but LeBron is just nutty enough
Yeah.
to where maybe if
But
things
why would he
went-
have to go to college anyway? There'd be NFL teams that would sign him.
Don't you think? Yeah, there probably would. But he's asking specifically about college.
Wants to hang
I
out with his
think,
kid.
because I
Like-
think
like
he
Rodney
wants to
Dangerfield.
go to college
Yeah.
with
Literally
with
like
his
Rodney
son.
Dangerfield.
I think
He could
He
buy a
wants to
whole
go to-
dorm. He could buy a whole dorm and build a complex.
he literally.
It would be called the James Dorm, and Bronny and LeBron would live there.
That's good. I was
Then
saying
have a
how Ohio State
helipad?
needed more money for the athletic programs. That would help.
Just food for thought, something to think about. He hasn't really said anything or tweeted
Yeah.
about it since.
That's funny.
But that's wild.
We got a Didi, so before we do a Didi, we got to get to what the internet says about that exact question. Whenever
okay.
we tell you what the internet says, it's brought to us by PCC Airfoils. Are you looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is the leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18.
Shout out
and
Minerva!
up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more.
All right, keep it moving. Keep it moving. Let's go.
We
got nothing?
easily give Minerva the most shout-outs that Minerva has
Love
ever
Minerva.
gotten.
Ever.
Ever.
Yeah,
Do
they
you know
should.
anybody from Minerva?
No, I don't even know where that is.
Never met
But
some-
I'm happy that they.
You grew up here and you don't know where it is.
No, I have no
Where
idea.
is it?
I've always heard of it. I thought it was like a rumor.
So I don't have to feel bad that I don't know where
No.
it
It exists.
I know.
PCC, they know.
So
Yeah.
real quick, we asked the internet the same question we just discussed. Let's take tag board full here. Which Cleveland team is the closest to winning a championship and why? And we got a bunch of answers, so we'll run through them real quick.
You got 3 answers.
The internet had opinions?
They did, and the
Okay.
why was important here. The first one is from Sir Yacht. He says the Guardians. Anyone can make a run in the playoffs. Cavs and Browns will probably need more time to gel with their new acquisitions.
Yeah, that's fair. Good logic.
point, Yacht.
Good logic, Sir Yacht.
Supreme Mugwump says the Browns because after 8 more games, Deshaun Watson is their quarterback.
yeah, but
as
what
G.
if they're
Bush said.
4-7?
Well, that's
Are you
what Sir
questioning the
Mugwump
intelligence of
says.
Supreme Mugwump?
Well, based on that avatar, yes. I am.
Next, this is from Good Beast. The Cavs, people think we're good. I don't think they realize just how good. Very few flaws on this team. The advantages, positives, more than make up for those flaws. And last but not least, this is from Mike. A full scouting report here. It
Good,
says
I like
Guardians
that.
without question. First series at home, hitters that don't strike out, A+ defense, A+ base running, 2 stud starters, a lockdown bullpen, and the best manager in baseball. That's a recipe for postseason success. They have what it takes to go all the way.
Mike wins that competition if it was one.
Dang,
because
bro.
I agree. He made all the right points. The lockdown bullpen, I'd say 3 quality starters,
Right.
but certainly 2. The best manager in baseball, and they play playoff-style baseball. They run. They go first to third.
Yeah.
They do everything that you want a team to be able to do in the playoffs.
The only 2 things headed into the playoffs that would be like if you were looking at making a column of positives and negatives about the Guardians, the only 2 negatives I could point to, and there's a whole lot of positives, so I won't repeat them all. The only negatives are not a lot of power
Yeah.
and fourth starter. And that's not going to
Yeah.
matter in the first round.
No, it won't matter in the first round.
Yeah.
It will perhaps
Yes.
if you go into a
Well,
seven-game
it will
series.
either way, because
Well,
if you don't use one,
teams-
then you go 3 days rest, and that's
yes.
a negative.
Yeah, that is a negative
Yeah.
for sure. Couple of things on the Guardians. First
Yeah.
of
We got-
all,
we
this
got
is my
a D.
biggest fear.
We'll-
Okay, I'll
we'll
bring it
wrap
right
that
in.
We'll get to it.
My biggest fear with the Guardians, the reason why they won't win it if they don't, in my view, it is very difficult for a team to stay absolutely on the edge of playing their best baseball for more than a month.
It is hard.
Mm-hmm. They are 20-3, something
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
They have played their best baseball at the biggest part of the season, and they've done it for a month now. To ask them to be able to do that through October is very, very difficult. Very few teams can do
Right.
it. The Yankees did it in April and May, and they
Right.
fell completely off the
They
cliff.
just got hot again now. At
They
the
are
end.
playing, but that's what you
But now
want.
the Guardians are playing 9 meaningless games, too.
I know they are, so it'd be hard
Yeah.
for them to judge them over the
Yeah.
next 9 games.
Right.
But that's my fear. They're going to have to stay on the edge of greatness for
It's
2
tough.
months. It's tough.
Yeah.
Also, one last thing before we bring Aditi in. I loved when Bally's went to the locker room celebration on Saturday after the Guardians had clinched the division.
Tito cursed.
As soon as they throw it to
Perfectly
Tito,
timed.
the first word he drops is an F-bomb.
It was like he looked back at the camera and said, "We rolling?
Yeah, we're on. Okay.
Now?"
I'm sure there were so many people clutching their pearls about God forbid anybody shares
Yeah,
the F
I
word.
hope
it.
that's not the first time anybody's
Yeah.
I
said
would have
that
run
word.
through a wall for him.
Yeah, and you know what his guys do,
Yeah.
and they
Aditi
all
is
will.
offended by cursing, though, so let's
We
be
all
careful.
know
Yeah,
that.
we will not drop F-bombs.